Hello, welcome to Studio Time. My name's Jason Meyer, and if you ever wished you could hang out in the studio and see how artists spend their day and how they actually work, well, you're in luck because this December, that's what we're going to do. Somehow we managed to hook up 4 cameras that I can run by myself. So, where you're going to see a shot of the painting behind me, I guess it's on that side, the palette, a clean shot of that, and a wide shot of me facing the other direction where I will be working. So I won't immediately be seeing all of your comments, but I'll check in from time to time. Um, Maybe that will be rectified in the future, but right now I got to have my back to the comments in order to work. So up on the easel today is a beach scene that uh, we worked on in class for a little while, and I've probably been working on this one 6 months or more, and I just had not had a chance to get back to it. So part of December studio time is me catching up on work that has been left undone through the year. So if you want, you can hang out and paint, catch up on your work, or just hang out and watch. So, pardon me, a little quick after lunch. I'm going to turn around and we're going to get mixing. What I'm going to be doing today is adding what I call near to far um, on the sand down here and down here. I want a real sense of distance in the colors and the spacing. So be wider, smaller, 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 smaller. As we go back, we're going to have a little bit of light here on reflecting on the water and along the coast. I don't know if we'll come up past this one because I don't think we really want you there, but we'll definitely go through these for a little bit of excitement. I'm going to replace this white with color and maybe take a little bit of that out. We'll see. But it's going to be a push and pull. I'm not looking to finish today. I'm just looking to push forward. Um, Sometimes we make a lot of progress, and sometimes it's very slow. And that is just the way it works. So let me turn myself around and let us get mixing. I want to try something here too. Haha. Well, we put that up there right now. I don't know, don't know if you can see that very well. Anywho, so I was hoping to actually have a lot mixed up before we got going today, um, just so I can be in that mode. But we are where we are, and that's where we're going to start. This right here is burnt umber with Portland gray deep. Let's go to the big palette and let me show you around what we've got here. So these are just grays, Portland gray deep, medium, and light, ivory black, and then we have raw umber. And this started in the class project as a green, purple, orange kind of thing. So this is Viridian, ultramarine violet, and then this is actually cad yellow deep or cad orange, depending on what they had. And then I flushed it out with a few other things so I could get some richer grays in here. So ultramarine violet, burnt umber, terra rosa, yellow ochre, cad yellow deep, flake white replacement. And this, my friends, is some Neo Miguelp medium. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix stuff up, and then I did oil this out before I started, but it looked like it may be drying out already. It's kind of sitting right under a heater. So we'll get that oiled out. Maybe we should do that first. Maybe we should do that first. Yeah, you can see it. You can see it almost drying out there. So I was going to start working on it, and other things called. So what I'm going to do is I've got some just thinned out Miguel here, or you could do retouch varnish. And I don't really want thick on there, and that's why it's drying out because it's so thin. But we do want this to stay all wet and work into that. Work into it. It's been many months since I've worked on this, so this is really dry. You don't want any texture left on when you're oiling it out. Just kind of re-wetting it. How does that look? All right, not too bad. I tried to get no glare up there, but I think your guy's gonna have a little glare in that corner. So I just don't want any brush marks. So this is just a big soft brush again, just to make sure there's no brush marks. We want this nice and right. We don't want a layer, or I don't want a layer of texture of just medium. I'm not really sure how sound that would be anyway, structurally speaking. All right, let's see how far that gets us. So I was thinking this might very well hold up down here as a good value. And I like that because we want to hold it yellow here, and then we're going to make it disappear. We're going to go bigger to smaller to smaller to smaller. And that would be real nice. And then I think there's actually way too much color in here. So that's going to be grayed off quite a bit. So going to have a little more mood. The point is to bring all the color right here, a little bit of light here, along here, a little bit of light. I'm going to close some of this off. I'm going to let that be more colorful, and this is going to be much grayer. But all of that takes a little time. So since that looks what I'm happy with, now I'm going to kind of reverse engineer that. Let's walk back. In other words, what's our darkest, richest up here going to be? And then we'll have those two, and we can just bridge them, right? And then I could do the same thing with this green. What's the grayest green going to be here? What's the darkest, richest? And then I can bridge them. Okay, so we're going to see that hopefully in a few places here. Back over the palette. All right, so we got some friends joining us. Hey, Claudia. Thanks for coming. Pretty sure. Ah, there's my right-hand man, right-hand woman. My just straight up right hand, right and left hand. Probably one of my feet too. All right, so we're gonna mix our darker, richer, and burnt umber is as warm and dark as we've got on here. Now, I'm not so sure that we're gonna want to put that on the front of our sand, right? That might more appropriately fit on here, but I'm looking for this right here. And and now that I've said that, a little bit of that might be just fine. I wouldn't put it on there too solid. That's uncanny how well that worked. Which is nice because I'd like to really soften up that edge. So if I bring those values closer, that'll help all that go away. Looks like I'm throwing a shadow on the painting, am I? It's just a little dark. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I'm actually, that is a good start for me right there. So this, my friends, is just pure burnt umber, and it's working so well. I'm just laying a bunch on there, and then I'm going to work it in with some other colors. And since this is foreground, and I don't really want you looking here anyway, I don't want really strong, edgy shapes. And I want this to go away a little bit, and then this will go away. But again, I want our first step from here to here to be rather large so that we have enough room to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller all the way down to the beach. Okay, now very seldom does that work, and I'm not going to leave that just like that. It usually takes a little more to get into this. It just so happened that time. So what would be lighter grayer from burnt umber? Well, we could go through the red, but I'm worried that's going to be a little too rich. Going to be a little too rich. And I think that's going to be a little too strong. So let me just, there we go. What if we head in this direction? Now that's a pretty big jump. It's a pretty big jump. Yeah, I think that's way too big of a jump. So for those of you who've been with me, you know I work on that, or I talk about the principle of just more or less each time. And then the space between or the measure, because I just want us to slide down to the beach. I don't want us looking at the sand right there. What we'll be looking at is the silhouette of those posts. So then I'm just going to bring it closer to that front which was just pure burnt umber. Let's see where we are. Okay, yeah. See, that seems better. See, that was where I was last time, and this just slides right in there. Okay, we'll keep that large. That's probably about right on there. Okay, and again, this is the start of my session. I tend to start a little, I think we all do, a little rough and refine, refine, refine. And also, once I've had a paint, haven't touched a painting in a little while, I need to make sure I'm not treating it too precious. And as I do these things, I'm going to start to see things. Like one of the things I remember now is that's not a very good shape, right? So we're going to have to come and go with that a little bit. I think the same thing's happening over here. So as I'm doing this and warming up, I'm just letting my eye, what is that shape here? And is that really the shape we want with the water running down to the ocean? These are the big questions. The big questions. Okay, so no need to get too fancy yet. We'll get our warm and cool business and all that on a little later, but just a little less. So we're going to do a little more of this gray here. And again, I don't want a huge jump. I don't want a huge jump. That feels pretty good. That's just really slight. Now I can always push this stuff later. I can always just add, and that's the beauty of having this down there, then just with the little addition of this or that, it takes real well and harmonizes. Okay, so I feel like I should get this green going as well. So what would my dark green be? So raw umber. And I'm more or less looking for the green at the top too, not any necessarily dark shadows, but almost a mid-tone there. Some of it will get a little darker and deeper. So I was so surprised by that burnt umber. I don't think there's any way, but let's just see where we're at with pure raw umber. Look how red that looks on there. So we're gonna have to give that a little more chroma. A little more chroma. There we go. Sometimes we just got to be a little patient for it. There's some pretty subtle shifts right through there. I don't know. Hopefully you guys can see those. All right, so I'm going to test this one out. Now that's reading pretty light. That's reading, can you guys even see that over there with that glare? See, that's reading very, very light. How is that in relation to the, yeah, a little bit light, huh? So, I don't mind that for kind of the lightest light. So what I'm going to start here is something a little bit, try to get a darker, warmer. I'm going to do that with a ivory black and a cad yellow light. Oops, why didn't you guys tell me? Why didn't you tell me? There we go. All right, let's test this one out. All right. See, I like this too because that's going to disappear very nicely into whatever we're going to call that. Whatever we're going to call that. You guys don't know. Once I get to painting, the more I paint, the less my ability to talk lessens. So if I fade in and out, that is why. All right, good. Yeah, that was feeling too chromatic for me, so I was happy to gray that down, get a little bit of that off of there. Okay. So with that, how would we take this away? Right? Because we always want to focus somewhere. So how do we take that away? So that up there is pure burnt umber. Right? So if we're going to take that away, well, we've got to make it more towards the center, right? So should we add black or raw umber? Let's see what raw umber does, because black's going to darken it. And remember, I'd prefer the sand not be as dark as the posts. So all this is going to do, and I don't even know if you can see that on film, it's just robbing it of a little bit of the redness. So then the question is, when we put that down, does that front corner go away? And it's the same value, it's just slightly cooler. So the answer is yes, as long as our paint and our edges aren't more than the red. Okay, that's barely showing up on my monitor. I don't know if that's showing up. It's very, very subtle, but that's the idea. And then the same thing right here. What do I want to do? Since this is red, what if I came at a value in between here and take that red and gray it off, send it towards green a little bit, and then that would be what we'd call bridging. Bridging, bridging. So what we're bridging then is our raw umber, our burnt umber with there. And why don't we just put a little bit of that over in there. And let's get that value. Okay, slightly light, isn't it? Something like that, maybe. Let's give it a shot. So again, I want to try to bridge right here and there. Again, so there's just a bit of green in there. And a gray green, not a strong green, but just a gray green. And that helps release. Okay, and again, the whole reason, if anybody's saying this is too much, this is too much, this is too much, we want to give ourselves some room to walk back. And so you need that more up front so that you can have less as we get down. So that's the idea. So I'm going to do my best. I think what I'll do here is put that palette and palette on there. There we go. I don't know why it's just showing you part of that. Anywho, and that way I can focus on the painting and not focus on switching back and forth for a little while. I remember when I said I had to change some of these shapes up here, so if we have some of this green overlapping the pole on this side, and then the pole overlapping on that side. Okay, how are we going to change this shape? Something like that. So Studio Time's probably going to be kind of a different pace than some of the other programs because I'm not doing it so much for a demonstration as I am doing it for my own work. So, which means I may not always go in a straight line like I might if I was teaching. So now what I need is I need some dark warm shadow down under there. So the whole point is just to bridge that green and that red that's down there in a way that doesn't bring your attention to it. Right? So in a way that this whole bottom part, oops, so that's a little bit light there, is just disappears or is just a suggestion. All right. Yeah, and the texture on the paint is actually picking up. It's thick enough, and I've had to tilt this board backwards a little bit so the highlights, and since it's wet, accentuated. But you can see that, right, the front gonna be a little more, then we'll give way, and then where we want you to focus will be a little more again. Um, Probably not as rugged and jagged as you're seeing these highlights. Probably play that down a bit. Because again, we don't necessarily want highlights in here on the dark, right? We don't necessarily want that. So the question always is, how much of the viewer's attention do you want here? Is this a really strong, hey, really, really pay attention, or oh, we're just casually sitting around, not, everybody doing their own thing? And you need a little bit of both in a painting. In my opinion, just a little bit of both. Uh, can't just go around making marks. Well, you can, but you got to be careful. Okay, so I am anxious to get to this, but I also I want a better shape there. So I think I'm going to pause this. I'm going to go in and get a gray here that stands up and work on a shape I want, and then I can cut back in with that beach. How does that sound to you guys? You can hardly wait. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Go a little wide. Get a sip of water. So much of this is about kind of slowing down and making sure these things read. Like before, until I kind of just had it in my nervous system, so to speak, it'd be very hard for me to pick out why this wasn't working right now. And the reason in my mind is it's too yellow and so it jumps forward. So we need to really gray that off. But I do want that water to stand out. But I'm going to take the whole color of everything here down. I'm going to play it up right in here. And then what light is left, there'll be a little bit of that coolness in there, but not as bright as it is. It's going to be more gray, especially up here. So I'm just going to take a kind of a big stab at the grayness and as just a value uh, in an attempt to get the shape of the beach. So if you hear me thinking, it sounds long and drawn out, but the order you put things in is very important, right? And one thing helps you figure out the other thing. And what's going to be important down here is what you look at, which is going to be the water, right? So the shape of the beach is going to be a support to the shape of the water. And that's why I'm thinking like that. So I don't want to go too small, but at the same time, I want enough dexterity that I can really think about that shape. So what value would that be? Would a deep show up there? Man, it sure does. So we'll just put this down right now. It might even be too much. Who knows? Might be even too much, but our walkway is going to come down, come down, come down. I'd love to have just a touch of water showing through here and there. Bring that fella down a little bit. Come back up there. right? And the thing about this water shape is it's also, remember I said that straight diagonal? This is my time to influence that just a bit. And I do like going across those dark little posts there, points of interest. Again, why don't we come, we have a little bit of beach between these two. Yeah. And then we'll have some beach come back over this way. Okay, how's that shape? I'll take a step back and have a look. I think it's better than what's there. Decent starting point. And so how would the beach go then? How would that beach go? Let's see, remember I'd like that beach to run across here, here at least. Yeah, and let's have this light again more over here because we're going to come this way. So we don't want to get too much over there to even it out. We'd rather have a little more right over here. But we could still go from more to less. But this could just be softer edges, right? Because theoretically, this is a little closer to us down here. Right, it's important to remember where we are in space. What did your parents tell you? Be aware of your surroundings. Okay, so then that's getting a little wide down there. It's gonna get quieter, quieter, quieter as we go off. Okay, so now that I have that, I think we went a little funky there. Little funky. If it gets bigger, it can get bigger this way. Yeah. All right. Can you see that difference? Can you see those things happening? So what I want to do now is quiet that down a bit. And let's see if this is that. So would that work? Hmm. It's almost reading too light. Almost leading too light. Happier with that. All right, then we're going to cut. Remember, this is about that water shape. All right. All right, so at this point, that beach feels better to me. And now again, there's some color in here that's stopping us, and I'd really like us just to sail on past that. So this was just Portland gray. So now what I need is a bluish gray that's a bit darker than that. We want it to be a little bit stronger up forward. So it might mean there's a little more warmth to it. So let's test that out. See how that works. I had some waves in here earlier. I'm leaning towards just taking those completely out and just letting the light on the beach be this, then that, and that. And that did come from the feedback this morning. Working on that, and I came up with that graphic, and then just seeing how clean that was. You know, it's so easy to forget the cleanness of those big shapes and how important those are, right? For a piece to read. It's very important for a piece to read. Yeah, we want to make this wide enough since this is the first layer. Remember, we just basically want to look right past all of this. Right? Let the water kind of catch our eye just for the value of it. And let's look right past the ocean and up to the sunset sky. Okay, so but I'm pretty happy. So what I did was I just took all of this out right here. So now it's real quiet. And after you get away from kind of the shore, it might go a little bit, more colorful. And what would more colorful be? Slightly darker, slightly more colorful. We have to test this out. Just like everything, we got to test it out. See, that's quite a bit darker. You know, I think it's too big of a jump for right there, but if we had the darkest water, what, right here? Before it got just kind of so atmospheric. And again, what I'm going to do here is this is going to be my brightest in this strata, then it's going to start graying off. We're going to walk you down to the beach here, and then I'm going to start walking you up this way. So with whatever's the most in each strata, I'm going to keep that going the direction we want it to go, want the viewer to go. Okay, and it doesn't have to be obvious. I mean, we don't have to shoot them out a rocket ship or a water slide or anything. And they can meander, but get them to where we need them to go. Right? They got a job too, and their job is appreciating art. So, okay, like that, that works. Now that created a little bit of an edge here. So I'm going to go back. Man, that's light. Sheesh. Sheesh. Some of these movements are subtle. Some of the movements are subtle. Let's see here. Now see, against that, that's too big of a jump. So that I could see maybe back here. So it's richer than that gray that I have down there, but still going off in space. And it's a little bit of warm too against so much coolness. We're gonna just see that strata across and try to make it the quote unquote appropriate thickness, just meaning it's less than these and more than those. Again, where are we headed? We want to head up this way. And we've got to have some warm in there because that sunset's going to be woo-wee. And if you don't know what woo-wee means, that means orange. Going to have some color. And that color's got to be reflected in other parts of the painting. So we got some unity. So that we got some unity. All right, you want disharmony, you go to a boxing match. You want harmony, you come to the arts. All right. You can go to one night and the other night, but we don't need the colors fighting each other on our canvas. Not in my humble opinion. All right, so I think this is working so far. So again, what I might jump to now is back here. I put that white and with the edge of a palette knife, and it's little bitty. but it's become obvious to me that it's way too much, which is kind of amazing. So let's go see what's not too much. Let's go find what's not too much. So it's going to be on the upper end of our value spectrum, white being the highest, the tallest. This is going to be warm. Okay, so you see all of this that we had down there? Now look at how colorful that looks against all. And that's why we want to keep all of that in that yuck kind of, so we go right past it down to, whoa, what's going on over there? What is happening over there, I say? Can we go there, mommy? Sure. Let's just walk down the beach, float over the ocean, and let's enjoy the sunset together. Huh? Does that sound like a good idea? You know my motto, you got to give the people what they want. And if it's a child or a grandchild, you definitely got to give them what they want, because that's just kind of the rules. All right, so again, no idea, but it's time to test it out. Time to test it out. So I'll start at the kind of the outside edges. That already feels so much better to me. We could have a little bit of that stuff peeking through, but not much. And I don't know how much more of this orange we could have, maybe a little bit. Let's go ahead and let it reach out. There's a hair on this side. Let it reach out. But it's going to go from orange to redder as it gets away from that light source. All right, so if that's the brightness there, as we get over here. Again, I don't necessarily want to take it all the way across because then that's going to stop. If it goes all the way across, we just got boom. But we definitely want to keep the most right there. Okay, and then we've got to make a nicer transition there. If that's the sun hitting that water, whew, not only that, what about above it? Let's worry about the water above it. What about those clouds above there? What are those things going to look like? You see how we're stepping off? They go quite white, then we're going. So that could be considered lighter grayer, and then darker, richer. And so there's a movement within that color. And if you get those movements right, it's enjoyable to the viewer. If it's too kind of jerky and everything, then that's what it's like to the viewer. Oh, I was just talking to you guys about the palette and you couldn't even see it. So you'll have to come back. You'll have to come back when I have better TV switching skills. You know what? I think I'm going to go actually down below with this. Just a touch of red, kiss of red as it hits the water. I'm gonna go more orange ochreish with the clouds. This just seemed a bit heavy for those clouds. And you see that even putting it below, look at that glow that came up there. Heck to the yeah. Heck to the yeah. Tell me you guys see that. Please tell me you see that. Tell me you see it. Can I get an amen? All right. Easy to overdo. Okay. Okay. And then what if we came one step forward here? At this point, you get a little bit of an influence. This is going to be really, really gray, isn't it? I don't think that's a big enough change there. I don't think that's a big enough change. Oops, sorry guys, I left you out again. I left you out again. My bad. That's way too dark for back there. That's way too dark. Oops. Way too dark for back there. So if this is that, yeah, let's do some of that. Let's do a bit of that. There we go. I think we may be onto something now. Did that work, guys? Did that work? I know that cool blue up there, we've got to get to it, but look, this is what we've got on our brush right now. So we're going to stick down here for just a few minutes. And then here, come to the palette with me this time. So that's what I just put down right there. So how could we get a little darker, richer on that? A little green, a little blue. Keep it warm. Oh, that red's powerful next to those cools. So okay. And again, I'm trying it. It's my best guess, and then I give it a try. Look at that. Looks like that's an hour. Ooh. Ooh, speaking of giving it a try, look how dark that is. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. So back to the palette we go. Back to the palette we go. Let's see if that's any closer. A little bit. Still seems a little dark for way back here, but this, which is light, I do want to knock that down a little bit, and that might work for this strata right here. When I say strata, I'm just talking about kind of across, right? And those acrosses should get a little bit smaller as they go back, a little wider as they're up front. Roughly speaking, that's kind of how size goes through space. If it's all the same size, the scene will look like it's kind of standing up on end. All right. Let's see. That's feeling better to me. It's feeling better. You guys remember that big mess I created up here? I still got to get back to that. I got to get back to that. So, I love it. I did get an A, man. I told you I had my back. So, there you go, Claudia. All right, bringing me back to it. So, let's try out a little bit of this fancy stuff we got going on here. So, what kind of fancy stuff do we have? Uh, dude, did I even do? Man, I don't think I didn't do my intro. Did I do that for you guys? Man, all this hard work. I'll get it together. That's why we're doing it all month long, 5 days a week, so that I can get this stuff down. And let's see if this one works here. Let's see if this one works. There we go. That's something, huh? That's something. All right, we're giving it a shot. Okay, so I'm gonna go for a little bit longer. I don't know, I'll go 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half. But again, I hope this is okay for you. It's a little bit different pace, but what I'd like to do before I let you guys go is see if I can't get this color in harmony here. Get that color in harmony. You know what I mean? We got a good feeling here, and then this guy's just doing his own thing. It's like, you're making us nervous, man. You're like not going along with the program. So what would that be? What would that be? Well, I think mainly it's way too cool. You know, some of that sky up there will be cool like that. And I'm wondering, I'd like to close it in with some of these gray clouds and then take that chroma down a little bit. So let's head over to the palette and see if I can't take a best guess. And then after my best guess, let's go from there. Let's go from there. All right. So we want this to win, right? But we also want to have that cool sky up there. So why don't we start with that? Is that too light? Is that too light? Let's do one of each. Let's do that and let's do this. And let's see what happens. Let us see what happens. And then why don't we take some of this yumminess, it's all this warmth that we mixed up. All right, just influence that a little bit. Because that light will be permeating the area. And then the lightest area of the sky usually tends to be like a really cool green. Now again, what I want to do is think about it next to these warms. Oops. Well, let's see how that works. And again, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's going to be hard to... Ah, that's cute. It's hard to tell what you're smiling at, but if the wife's smiling, that's always a good thing, right? Better Better than the alternative. Let's see. So we're here. So what does that look like up here? So that's really light. Look how light that looks. That's really light. So why don't we go to the deep? So this looks way too dark to me, but again, let the painting tell us. All right, this is closer to where it needs to be. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, I'm even thinking about this in the idea of a strata across and that it's bigger than that. Okay, now I want to go off into a little color here, and then I do want to get some more of these clouds in there. So I'm going to bend this back around this way. So I'll probably close this in with clouds. So that color I'm going to take up there, and then I'll probably close the top off with clouds too. I just think that's going to make a better painting. We'll see. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Ah, thanks, Claudia. Oops, I don't know why that went cockeyed. Let's see, there we go. There we go. Thanks, Claudia. Okay, so we're gonna head back to the palette now. We'll go wide for that. And so I want to come off of here. Was that what I had there? Let me test that out. Yeah, so that'll work. So let me get that a little richer in color. Again, a little richer, and that's why I'm doing both the blue and the green. I want to give it a little color identity. Little color identity. Yeah. All right. All right. And again, just to kind of compress that light, I'd like to go a little bit darker. A little bit darker than that. Up at the top, I like that as a step, but I want to try to hold them in. So I'm going to go a bit dark, and again, this will help bridge to the darker gray. Too colorful. Too colorful. Too dark. Sorry, guys, we flew too close to the sun. Oops, that's too, well, kind of like that. I kind of like that. A little bit warm, but with what's underneath. So I'm going to rub those together and see what we come up with. Nah, not quite. Just a little too light. Push, pull, too much, too little. Oh, close. It's the name of the game. It's the name of the game. Push, my goodness. My goodness, what is going on here? What is going on here? So that is not really what I wanted at all, but it seemed to insist on inserting itself there. So maybe if that's done, doing whatever that was doing. Oops, and I'm off screen here. Sorry, guys. Off screen. Oh, I think I know what's going on. I've got to go green because of the purple in the water, but we can have a little bit of this here. Then let's head green. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's just hard to keep it all straight. Kind of get lost. Get a little lost. All right. And we'll close that off. That's feeling better to me too. Soften this edge. Okay. Okay, so I'd like to close this in with the gray. See if I like that or not, and then get back why this material is workable and work on it. So we'll stay live about 15 more minutes or so. We'll see how we're doing then. So this was very light. So that means our gray clouds are going to have to be darker than that. That's darker than that. Again, just suggesting cloud shapes and stuff, getting rid of brush shapes and brush marks. So I try to just make different movements, let the paint do what it does. Have the good sense to leave it when it needs to be left. Ain't always so easy. The good sense. The good sense, huh? There's nothing wrong with having good sense. Yeah, I like that. I think it's spilling out the top there was just too much. This helps concentrate it a little bit. Oops. See, that's way far back there. It shouldn't be the same as that. It's got to be weaker. Weaker. Speaking of, let's get a little bit of strength here to just bring that forward. In the sky, right? Because these clouds are closer to above us than those clouds are. So again, if we want to have less, we need to have more. That's what we're doing here, is establishing our more. Okay, so this is day one of 3 times a day live in December. Weekdays, Monday through Friday. This morning I did a feedback at 8 a.m. on a student's work of this very painting. So we'll be mixing it up a little bit, and I'll be doing different things different days. Again, part of this is me catching up on work I didn't get to finish for some reason. Can't imagine what that was. What could have been going on that I didn't get to finish my work? I couldn't imagine. But anyway, we're going to get it done. Or have a good time trying. Have a good time trying. Soft edges here, right? These are clouds. These are clouds, not bulls charging at you. So give them soft edges. All right, then let's take, I'm kind of liking that glow right there. So, but I want to go from here and let's take another step back for this layer here. And that would be lighter grayer from there. Lighter grayer from here. Should we use a lighter gray to go lighter grayer? That might not be a bad idea, but we're also going towards a warm sunset. So maybe we need to pump that with a bit of heat. Just a bit of heat. Then, how much of that do we want to influence for our next layer of clouds? Let's test it out and see. You know, that's a great point, Claudia. Claudia says it looks amazing. It's amazing that it looks so dark on the palette and so light when you apply it. Yeah, it's that relativity. It's that relativity, and that's why it's just you push it and you pull it. Just push and pull. So let's see if I push this gray. So yeah, see that feels in between. I can take, especially up here, I could probably take a little bit of that warmth out. Some of that, remember I hit that dark. And so that this really appears different. And that'll put it in a different space than what's above it and below it. Soft edges. Right, and a hard edge can blow this too, you know, what I think it's really the right value, but with a hard edge, it doesn't quite work so far. I like attaching it to that. Right, then it gives a little bit of an isolated shape over here. Maybe close that from going off like that. All right. That's all right. Look at that. I got the best girl in the world. Yeah, that was the whole experiment with this one is we really get that quiet sunset light. And it's getting closer. We're not there yet, but it's getting closer. So thanks, sweetie. Thank you, thank you. Okay, guys, I think I'll call it there for a day. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to sit with this a few minutes and see if I can't get a little more work in before I got to get ready for Sketch Club, and then we've got Evening with the Masters tonight. So tune in. I'm going to find a good beach scene, I hope, a good sunset beach scene, and see if we can compare what we have to theirs. and what works and what doesn't. All right, so thanks for tuning in. Again, we'll be back tomorrow. This is a chance for you to sit in and with the studio. We'll be here all month. Be here all month. So, in the meantime, I think this is where I will say good day for now. We'll be on Facebook at 7 o'clock tonight for Sketch Club. 6:55 will be the introduction. And then I'll be back at 8 on YouTube, right here in this very channel, for a look at a master painting. I'll see if I can't find a sunset beach scene for us to look at for, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes or something to call it an evening. All right, everybody. Appreciate you hanging in there, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.